Their unspoken understanding became a space of reflection rather than pressure. Small gestures, remembered details, shared pauses, gentle smiles carried more weight than grand expressions. Each interaction clarified that what they were building wasn't rushed or dramatic, but intentional. The question shifted from whether something was happening to whether they were ready to acknowledge it. The moment they finally addressed it wasn't planned. It arrived quietly, during a familiar walk, when silence stretched a little longer than usual. There was no declaration, just honesty spoken without urgency. Ethan admitted he felt changed by something he couldn't fully explain. Claire shared that she felt steadier, not less herself, but more grounded. They didn't promise permanence or perfection. Instead, they agreed to move forward with awareness, allowing the connection to grow without forcing direction. It felt honest, mature, and real. An understanding shaped by experience rather than fantasy. As they continued walking, the city moved around them unchanged. Yet, for both, something essential had shifted. What began as a single glance had evolved into a quiet certainty. Love didn't always arrive loudly. Sometimes it entered softly, through patience, presence, and the courage to let one moment become something more. Over time, their meetings became intentional. Coffee turned into longer walks, brief exchanges into shared silences that felt natural rather than awkward. They revealed pieces of themselves slowly, each aware of an unspoken vulnerability forming between them. Still, both held back, careful not to define what was unfolding. A moment of distance followed, when schedules conflicted and messages slowed. The absence felt heavier than expected, forcing both to confront how much the connection mattered. When they finally met again, the relief was quiet but unmistakable. Nothing was declared, yet the shift was clear. This was no longer accidental. It was becoming a choice. For Ethan, the turning point came with an unexpected realization. He wasn't afraid of losing control, but of wanting something deeply again. The ease he felt with Claire challenged his belief that emotional safety required distance. He began questioning whether his routines were comfort or avoidance, whether stability had quietly turned into isolation. Claire's conflict was more internal. She recognized the familiar pull of connection and the equally familiar fear of imbalance. She valued her independence, yet noticed how naturally Ethan fit into her life without disrupting it. The challenge wasn't trusting him, but trusting herself not to retreat when things felt meaningful. They crossed paths in an unremarkable setting, each absorbed in their own thoughts. Neither knew the other's history, habits, or hesitations. Yet, in that brief shared moment, something familiar surfaced, as if both recognized a version of themselves reflected back. The feeling unsettled them, lingering quietly as they went on with their day, unaware that this small intersection would soon grow harder to ignore. In the days that followed, Ethan found himself replaying the moment more than he expected. He dismissed it at first, focusing on work and routine. Yet, small reminders surfaced, certain expressions on strangers' faces, a passing thought during a quiet evening. When he unexpectedly saw Claire again, the recognition was immediate, accompanied by a subtle tension neither acknowledged aloud. Their conversations began simply, almost cautiously. There was no urgency, no attempt to impress. Instead, they spoke about ordinary things, work days, favorite places to walk, moments of quiet they both seemed to value. What surprised Ethan was how easily he listened, how little effort it took to stay present. Claire noticed it too, the comfort of being heard without explanation. It happened in a moment neither of them had planned for. A pause so brief, it almost felt imagined. A crowded place, ordinary sounds, people moving past without noticing anything unusual. Yet for two strangers, that single glance carried a weight neither could explain. It wasn't dramatic or overwhelming, just a quiet recognition that lingered longer than it should have. Both would later try to dismiss it as coincidence, timing, or simple curiosity. Still, something subtle had shifted, leaving behind a question neither was ready to answer. Why did that one look feel so hard to forget? Ethan had grown comfortable with predictability. In his early 30s, he lived alone in a modest apartment, worked a steady job, and kept his social world small by choice. Past relationships had ended without conflict, but also without depth, leaving him cautious rather than bitter. He valued calm routines, believing stability was safer than emotional risk, even if it sometimes felt lonely. Claire, on the other hand, had recently moved to the city seeking a quiet reset. Her previous years were filled with transitions, career changes, friendships that drifted apart, and one relationship that ended not in anger, but exhaustion. She carried herself with gentle confidence, though beneath it lived a careful reserve shaped by experience. She wasn't searching for love, only balance.